Cardinal Robert Sarah said, "I am afraid that we are tempted to build a human church according to the times and according to our ideas, but the church is not ours." 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14 is written, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land." When we hear or see things like this, are we to blame or is the church to be blamed? When the church has been in the news for negative reasons like this, when those who are supposed to protect the sheep have turned to be wolves that are eating the sheep, who is to be blamed? Who is the conscience of the society? Are we the ones who have led these people to do things that they are doing? Where is our consciousness? That is why we want to talk about conscience of the society. This is KJTN, place for critical rationalism for ideal natural spiritual balance. Welcome home. Many teachings have complicated the simple truths. Here, we make the complicated simple. If you know the truth shall set you free. Have you ever asked yourself why these days things that are good are mocked at and bad things are celebrated? Have you ever asked yourself why life has become so difficult because of the decisions that we make compared to some years ago? It is because we have lost our consciousness. By definition, according to sociologists, a society is a group of people with a common territory, interaction, and culture. Within a society, we also have social groups, which consist of two or more people who interact and identify with one another. Some of these groupings can be termed as an organization or club formed for a particular purpose or activity, or the aggregate of people living together in a more or less ordered community. Being conscious is a state of awareness of one's unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensations, and responding to your environment while having concrete knowledge of what your reaction to it can result to. People of the same society share aspects of their culture, and culture refers to the language, values, beliefs, behavior, and material objects that constitutes people's way of life. Each member of a society has unique thoughts, feelings. These unique thoughts and feelings must come in alignment with the values and beliefs and behavior of that society for one to interact with other members of the same society. If there is no alignment with what a society agrees with as ethically right with them, and this member is reacting in opposite way, he cannot be considered part of the same society. You can be geographically distant and have language barrier, and all this can separate you with the society within which you were born or came through from. But you can be outside of the country, but you share the elements which are rendered accepted in the society where you came from. If you do so, then you are still counted as a member of that society. A society can be pluralistic. This is a society built of many groups. These groups can be people who join in from different societies because of economic hardship, political unrest, or religious persecution, or because of trade. Examples of United States. Okay, so once you have joined this new society, you have to join and adopt the dominant cultures of the society you have come in. Okay, Kenyan society in our context is such kind of a pluralistic society. It's a society where we have different people from different descents: Indians, Somalians, Nigerians, Nubians, Congolese, South Africans, living in this nation. Okay? When they come, they must adapt the Kenyan culture, food, and the way of life. Even if not all, but they don't risk losing their own. But if they indulge deeply, they will lose their own. Some practices are common in other societies which will directly offend or contradict the values and beliefs of the new societies who have joined in. But those who seek to become part of the new society they have just joined in often have to give up many of their original traditions in order to fit in. This process is called assimilation. Many tend to maintain their original cultures even if they have been in a country for many generations. Hence, a country where people still maintain their original cultures or heritage is called a multicultural society. This multicultural society recognizes original heritages like in America. In the United States, those who have become citizens who are from other societies do not let go their individual markers by adopting the mainstream one. Even with these norms, beliefs, and values, people tend to do things that are against the system or the society which they have just joined in, or the original one. Hence, they end up being called outlaws, criminals, rebels, outcasts, and many other names. To avoid this, there must be a superior gatekeepers who talk them back to the accepted standards or belief system of this society. Okay? This is where the government and church or religious body comes in. The government ensures that there is a law and order in the societies by constituting the laws that incorporate all the cultures and their values. The church or religion advises the government of the day of what is right to be done, because they are appointed ambassadors of God in the world to keep governments in check and the people at large. To this extent, they become the conscience of the society. As we had observed earlier, that consciousness is being aware of one's unique thoughts, memories, feelings, sensation, and so many others. The church is supreme over political leaders, and church leaders are supreme, but this is an identity that many do not take as important as they are supposed to. Okay? They are important more than even the leaders of government of today. Okay? Because their consciousness is divinely informed, they get direction from a supreme, self-existent, superior, all-powerful, and all-knowing ruler who puts people in places of authority and removes them when he wants. Now, how does the church exercise this superior role? It is by the use of silence. And what is silence? Silence is the interestingness of information, or how important we perceive that information is important. We give salience or importance to items and to items or numbers. For example, if I say number 1, 2, 3, or if I say 1/1, or if I say 1:1, or if I say ABC, these words may mean nothing. We've just mentioned without anything attached to them. Or if any authority has not been attached to them or a positive thing, we are not likely to remember them. But if we attach authority, we attach reward to them, we are likely to memorize them and remember them. The numbers have not changed, but we have just attached something positive to them. That is why we are remembering them. But before attaching anything to them, we would just forget about them because they mean nothing. That is what is called salience. Attaching something that makes some things important or interesting. What I mean is, number 1, 2, or 3, when mentioned, they have no value. But if a priest tells you John 3 or Genesis 1, and he goes ahead and tells you these numbers are like John 3 talks about forgiveness, or Genesis 1 talks about the beginning of the world, then the numbers changes the meaning. Meaning they start to have importance because there is something attached to them. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter, plays a role in salience. When information is interesting, the brain releases dopamine, which makes you pay more attention to the information and makes you act upon it because it is tied to the reward system. Salience is linked to reward and punishment. Information can be made salient by linking it to negative outcome. For example, the brain is divided into left and right part. The right part says, that is interesting, but I won't have it. The government may introduce, to explain this, the government may introduce new laws that will increase taxes and worsen lives. Then the priest reads this number, that is 29 verse 2. If he just says 29 verse 2, it will not have a meaning. But if he says 29 verse 2 of Proverbs, then the numbers will again have some salience, interesting, or importance. Which all people who have read this will know that this priest is talking about godly leaders. If the numbers were just mentioned, they would not have a meaning, but if attached to Bible and a book, then the numbers will have salience, and the right side of the brain will say, I won't agree, because the outcome will be negative, which is a hard life or a hard economic life. But if the government says, we want to reduce taxes, the left side of the brain, which is the I will part, say I will do this, say I will support the bill, because it is attached to positiveness of the outcome. So the positiveness of the outcome will say, okay, life and economy will go down and we'll be able to purchase things. This verse that I'm saying says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people mourn. Now that we have understood silence, if then the government goes ahead and passes the tax that is silently negative, the I want part of the brain will say, I won't allow that law to operate because it is tied to negative outcome. the I will part will say, I will stop it. With this, our brain uses silence to filter incoming information. We take in what is positive. Okay? And in this part, it will be protest is positive. Why? Protest will be attached to positive outcome because it is tied to a reward, which is freedom or stopping the bill from passing. Okay? So, other information against the demonstration in this part, if that part says that protest is tied to positive outcome, which will be freedom and stopping of the high taxes, then any other information against the protest at this level, the brain will interpret as silently negative and is therefore filtered out and quickly forgotten automatically. With this biological process going on, the clergy or priest or imam may act in demonstration or may take part in demonstration, as we have seen clergies in 1990s taking part in demonstration or protest, because that is what is positively salient. That will yield a reward of freeing citizens from oppression, or God may use another part. When God decides to use another part, if he does not want demonstration, God may use a part called prefrontal cortex. And he'll use this one on leaders. And these leaders are religious leaders and can even be political leaders. This prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe or reasoning part of the brain, this part governs all our decisions. If you're still debating with I won't allow bill to operate, so I will demonstrate, or we are still saying I won't demonstrate or protest, I will support the government, the frontal lobe is here, will come in where our intellect and reasoning and judgment is. And this is part where God communicates with men. So if I want to confirm that he communicates with men in this part of reasoning and intellect and judgment, Isaiah 1:18 says, "Come now, let us reason together." Which part of the brain reasons? Is the frontal lobe. Okay? So God knows that we have that in our brain. So he says, "Come, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red as crimson, they shall become like wool." When a religious leader stumbles on this verse at a point when he is studying the Bible or maybe praying, when he stumbles on this, he will say, okay, let me take a break on the protest. And he will do this because he will tell himself, or she will tell herself, it is God that is talking to me. Or if he had organized that tomorrow is going to protest or demonstrate. Okay? He will silently attach this verse, okay, to the protest, and know that God has awakened his or her consciousness to the situation. This is when you hear the religious leader call the state to a dialogue with whoever is protesting or in different position, or whoever is planning to do so. God knows that he had created that part, frontal part, and that is what he is going to use to call us to consciousness. He will use our intellect, reason, to reach judgment of what we are about to do. That judgment, if it is for the unity, not corrupted judgment, but for the unity, love, and harmony, and making life easy for everyone, when reducing the mourning of the people in the society, then the church will be confirmed as being the conscience of the society. Okay? And this will remind people of its values as member, as the conscience of the society. Then the church will use this standing to take people back to their then people will come back to consciousness and react in a way that is fit for every member of the society. Thank you. My name is Joash Otieno. Kindly subscribe, like and share. I will come with the part 2, where we'll ask ourselves this question: what happens when the church loses its consciousness? Thank you.